The intersection here at Huron and Adams is completely blocked off due to a crash. I spoke with the Toledo police sergeant who tells me the crash involves two TPD cruisers. Take a look. The sergeant tells me the crash happened around 10 p.m. The two cruisers were responding to an officer call for assistance when they collided at the intersection. You can see the front end of one of the cruisers is smashed with the bumper and lights taken off. The other has visible damage to the side of it. According to the sergeant, the four officers were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. They are expected to be okay. It's still unclear right now what exactly caused the crash. That is currently under investigation. Again, Lee, I'm here on Adams in Huron, where the road is completely shut down due to this crash involving two Toledo police cruisers. So if you're headed down here tonight, you'll want to find another route. The shooting happened just after midnight on Marion Street. One man who lives in the area tells me he could hear the gunfire from blocks away. Another couple tells me they weren't even attending the party, but they were just turning around when the violence erupted feet away. Many departments in our area are trying to fill these positions. For example, Lake Township and Maumee Fire are both asking voters to pass a levy this November to increase funding so that they can hire more full-time firefighters. While Toledo Fire and Rescue isn't on the ballot this time around, they are ramping up recruitment efforts. Josh, this all started as a high-speed chase on Suter near Shoreland Elementary in the early hours of October 7th. Washington Township Police tried to stop the driver before he fled across state lines. Ducky the dog is back home with the Spurlock family, safe and happy. The Spurlocks tell me they didn't necessarily think that it would happen after they searched for Ducky for 154 days. But as it turns out, Ducky had not strayed very far and was staying with a family just down the road. The video is shocking. Joe Mahmoud tells me he and his family went to Erie Orchards to have a fun day together. But things took a turn in a way Mahmoud never expected. We do not have a name of the suspect right now. That's expected to be revealed tomorrow after a court hearing, which is common for cases in Michigan. 52-year-old Dee Warner disappeared in Tipton-Lenawee County in April of 2021. Since then, authorities have searched throughout southeast Michigan. Thousands of acres have been searched, divers have looked through drain culverts, and dogs have scoured the area. Just this past May, investigators dug up the Warner property looking for clues in Warner's disappearance. A Michigan State Police spokesperson told 13 Action News at the time they were acting on tips they had received, but they did not go into further detail. Despite the efforts, there's still been no sign of Warner. Her family has petitioned to have her declared dead. That issue is still making its way through the courts. We're told by Dee's family that this arrest today was a surprise. Right now, there's a lot of questions that we're working on finding answers to. Again, the suspect's name is expected to be released tomorrow morning following a court hearing. The $20 million grant from the federal government will go towards the Connecting Toledo Neighborhoods to Opportunity initiative. That's also known as CTNO. The money from the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Jobs Act will help redevelop a connection between downtown neighborhoods in Toledo and the nearby Junction neighborhood. Some of the projects include a protected sidewalk across the Dorr Street I-75 overpass, as well as a new multi-use path that will connect Junction to the Mott Branch Library and downtown Toledo. City leaders say it's the largest competitive federal grant Toledo has ever received. They're calling the money historic.
To connect that neighborhood to opportunity in the downtown, uptown neighborhoods is amazing. There's beautification going on all over this city, but we have to connect the beauty to opportunity, and that's what I feel like is going to happen with this grant.
In addition to the path and the sidewalk, the project will also make more than 4 miles of enhancements in the Junction area. That includes improved sidewalks, LED lighting, bike paths, and a transit mobility hub. Smoke and flames broke out here at the Cedars Apartments on West Central Avenue in Toledo around 6 o'clock this evening. One resident tells me he was trapped inside his unit and had to be rescued through a window.
It was the last one, and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Devastation tonight after a fire rips through part of a Toledo apartment complex. Toledo Fire and Rescue officials tell 13 ABC they were called to the Cedars Apartments shortly after 6 o'clock Saturday night. When crews arrived just 3 minutes after the first 911 call, they found heavy smoke coming from the basement.
They went to their windows, were leaning out their windows, calling for help. Crews started coming in one after another. You can see behind me there's several ladders up to windows, and those were set in place to rescue folks, bring them out of their apartments, brought them down.
At least 2 people were taken to the hospital with injuries described as not life-threatening.
Because it was in the lower unit, the smoke traveled out into the hallways and blocked the exits for the people in the upper units.
Reginald Harper has lived at the Cedars for 22 years. He says the smoke pouring through his apartment is one of the most terrifying things he's ever seen.
I opened up my door, all I saw was black smoke, and I hurried up and slammed the door. And I ran to the bathroom, got a wet towel, and threw down by the door. And by that time, my apartment was filling up with smoke.
Harper, now one of 16 people without a home.
It's horrifying. I'm still shook up about it, and it's just bad. I don't have nowhere to go right now. I'm waiting on Red Cross to help me. So as soon as that happened, I don't know.
Toledo Fire and Rescue officials credit a quick response time as well as smoke detectors for making it so that everyone was able to make it out. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We've heard reports of damage all the way from the Ohio-Indiana state line to Sandusky County, whether that's tree branches like this one here at Ottawa Park in Toledo or entire trees on top of homes.
Here we go, round 2.
Severe weather rolling through northwest Ohio and southeast Michigan today. In Ottawa Hills, crews working through the wind and rain to clear roadways. In South Toledo, numerous reports of trees falling onto residents' property. A security camera capturing this tree falling on top of a house. And in Point Place, it's something residents know all too well now.
I thought, oh boy, how bad is it this time?
After an EF2 tornado tore through the area just over a week and a half ago, Point Place resident and owner of Buckeye Auto Repair, Ramsey Ibrahim, says he took word of today's storms with more caution than usual.
I saw the sky start getting a little dark, so decided, I should come up here, move some cars around, and then one of my buddies just called and said, hey, a tree came down right next to the shop. I was in the middle of dinner, and I, dropped my fork and came up here as quick as I could.
The tree falling on the house just steps away from his shop on 131st Street. Thankfully, he was spared, but seeing the damage hits close to home.
We had another auto repair shop down the road. He's, out of business right now, and that's how a lot of people feed their families, it's heartbreaking.
Over on 305th Street, Point Place resident Brian Hayden wasn't so lucky. Around 6 p.m., he got a call from his wife that their fence had been destroyed by the gusty winds.
She thought that it was a twister again.
And as he deals with this repair now, Hayden tells 13 Action News he still hasn't fully recovered from the last storm yet.
I haven't even had the adjuster come out yet to assess the damage from the last time.
Even though the road to recovery is a long one, there's a light at the end of the storm.
Stay strong, Point Place. This is scary, but we all come together and we'll make it through this.
We are still hearing some rumbles of thunder and seeing some flashes of light out here, but it does seem like the storm has mostly moved through for now.
How you guys doing?
While you're sitting on your porch or doing yard work this summer, you may notice more officers in your neighborhood. Toledo Police ramping up their foot patrol program this month. East Toledo is one of the areas.
It's probably one of the better areas to do this, where there's high visibility and a large amount of residents and business owners who can get value out of more foot patrols.
Officer Brian Wynn says he walks an average of 5 to 8 miles 4 days a week.
The community doesn't just see us like one time and then we go away. They constantly see us day in and day out throughout the week.
Checking on things like vacant properties and cracking down on drugs. But perhaps the most beneficial part are the conversations with residents.
A lot of it is more so what are concerns and issues for them in their neighborhood, not so much about what we think their concerns and issues are.
Neighbors say they feel better seeing officers walk their street.
I love it. They stop, they play with my kids and stuff. But I feel more safer going to work now because the shooting has calmed down, the violence, the arguing, the fighting.
In fact, the officers I shadowed were stopped by someone mid-interview and notified of a potential overdose.
Possible, yeah, I'm gonna walk over there.
Showing just how vital these foot patrols can be to keep people safe.
Just from that citizen just coming and telling us, because we're right here at ground level, allowed us to get on scene to that possible incident, in less than a minute.